Welcome back, racing fans, to motorsportsradio.net. We're back after a little time off. Before we get started, I'd like to say thoughts and prayers go out to the folks down in Texas and Louisiana having a rough time. Texas getting the blunt of this Hurricane Harvey, some crazy stuff down there. So I just want to say thoughts go out to the folks down in the Lone Star State. Manny Allegretto, this is the weekend edition for Thursday, August 31st. Driver standings and this weekend's racing schedule. Recap of the winners from 2 weekends ago at Bristol. All three series, Trucks, Xfinity, and the Cup Series races, all three won by Kyle Rowdy Busch. 2 weekends ago, there was one other Xfinity Series race, the Mid-Ohio Challenge on Sunday. This was won by Jeremy Clements in the 51 car, and he gets his spot in the playoffs. IndyCar winner last weekend out in the Gateway Motorsports Park, Joseph Newgarden, and Formula 1 winner of the Belgian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton. Now, we haven't updated the standings for Formula 1 IndyCar. We'll do it next week. But here is the driver standings, top 5 for NASCAR, just top 5 in order, starting with the Monster Energy Series. It's Truex Jr. in first place, followed by Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, 5th place, Denny Hamlin. NASCAR Xfinity Series, Elliott Sadler, William Byron, Justin Allgaier, 1st through 3rd, and 4th and 5th, it's Brennan Poole and Daniel Hemrick. And then the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Christopher Bell finally makes it into first place. I think it was last week he might have broken into it, but Johnny Sauter was in first place for a long time. Christopher Bell finally breaks in there. Johnny Sauter drops down to 2nd. 3rd is Matt Crafton, Chase Briscoe 4th, and Ben Rhodes in 5th. And you know, Matt Crafton almost won that race 2 Wednesdays ago at Bristol, and I'm sitting there, I was like, come on, don't let Kyle Busch pass you, and Kyle Busch passed him and wound up winning, so that was last Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays ago, I should say. All right, so take a look at the violations from Bristol, really just 3, 1 Cup Series team and 2 Truck Series teams. The 19 team crew chief Scott Graves fined $10,000. Now, the 19 car driven by Daniel Suarez, formerly Carl Edwards, but Scott Graves has been fined $10,000. This is his 3rd fine since Scott Graves took over the 19 team. And then the 2 Truck Series teams were the 51 and the 83. All 3 for lug nut violations. All right, so here's what's coming up this weekend. So we have 2 more weeks and then the playoffs start. But this upcoming weekend, NASCAR heading to the traditional Labor Day venue, and that it would be Darlington Raceway. And those that are new to NASCAR, Darlington is the traditional spot for NASCAR on Labor Day weekend. And the throwback paint schemes, so check a couple out on NASCAR.com, so you can have some old school paint schemes on the cars this upcoming weekend. And so this is the track that's too tough to tame, also known as the Lady in Black, located out in South Carolina. 1.36 miles of asphalt, egg-shaped oval, and there's actually some history behind that. Bankings at turns 1 and 2 is 25 degrees, and turns 3 and 4 is 23 degrees. Front stretch is 3, back stretch is 2. So the egg-shaped oval, so the distance between turn 1 and 2 is larger than the distance between 3 and 4. Now, the story is, when the piece of land we saw, which was a peanut farm, was purchased, the seller, and I forget both their names, okay, but the seller who sold the land said they could build a track on there under one condition. There's a meadow pond on the property that was not to be disturbed. So that leads to the egg-shaped oval that Darlington is. And Darlington, the first track with pavement, believe it or not. So there you go. And of course, back in the old days, Daytona was still racing on the beach. Daytona, which would not be open until 1959. But in the early days of NASCAR, Darlington was one of the original racetracks. Now, this is just for the Monster Energy and Xfinity Series. They're heading out to Darlington. The Camping World Truck Series, they're heading out to Canada, to the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park out in Bowmansville, Ontario. 2.45 miles of asphalt with 10 turns. IndyCar is heading upstate New York to Watkins Glen, and Formula 1 is heading to Italy. And also NHRA this weekend, NHRA heading out to Indianapolis. All right, so here's this weekend's racing card, starting with NASCAR. NASCAR racing on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time, Saturday afternoon on NBCSN. This is for the Xfinity Series, NBCSN and MRN, and this is going to be for the Sport Clips Haircuts VFW 200. 147 laps altogether. Stages are going to be 45, 45, and 57. Now, Sunday, we have a double header. Truck Series racing in the afternoon and Cup Series racing Sunday night. So, Truck Series racing on Sunday at 2:30 Eastern Time on FS1 and MRN for the Chevrolet Silverado 250. 64 laps. Stages are going to be 20, 20, and 24. Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series racing on Sunday evening. This is going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN for the Bojangles Southern 500. Now, this is going to be 367 laps. The stages are going to be 100, 100, and 167. IndyCar racing and F1 racing on Sunday as well, starting with Formula 1 Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, NBCSN. For the Italian Grand Prix. This will be 53 laps, and the tires being used on Sunday will be super, soft, and medium. IndyCar racing Sunday afternoon at 1:30, NBCSN, for the Indy Grand Prix at the Glen. So, basically, Sunday lineup is Formula 1 at 8 o'clock, IndyCar at 1:30, and then Cup Series racing at 6, all on NBCSN, and then truck racing over on FS1. All right. And to add to the buffet of motorsports, NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series, Lucas Oil Raceway at Indianapolis for the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. Qualifying is going to be on Sunday at 12 p.m. and at 5 p.m. So there's 2 times, both live, both on FS1. Now, Monday will be the finals. Okay? The finals go from 11 to 4, but from 11 to 1 o'clock, it will be on FS1, and then from 1 to 4 on Fox. So just to let everybody know about that. So 11 o'clock, turn to FS1, and at 1 o'clock, you'll have to switch it over to the Big Fox, and that is the lineup for this weekend. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back on Sunday to recap Sunday's Cup race, as always. Thank you for this is Manny Allegretta from Long Island, New York, and this is the home of motorsports news and info, motorsportsradio.net.